About Ernie.
And Ernie was our neighbor back in Illinois. And Ernie was a grandfather figure to our two boys as they were growing up. They didn't; their grandfathers had passed away. So he was also he was a fellow gardener of mine. So he grew up in a small walled village in Germany during World War II, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I put here is, first of all, he liked tulips, so I did a representation of a tulip. I also cut this thing out by hand. All right, I could have done it with a router and, zoom, zoom, zoom. I figure Ernie would like the old method.
The old school.
So yeah, so I did that in honor of Ernie again. The other thing is, we figured that in his old village wasn't touched in World War II. It was close to the Scandinavian areas.
Uh-huh.
So, it ended up in the British sector, and nothing happened physically to this walled ancient village.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is he used to talk about there was always ducks and geese and stuff running around the streets when he was growing up. So I put this piece of glass in. It's over 150 years old from an old church window. Hand painted it has a goose in there. So that represents his old village. So I figured that was just another way of honoring Ernie.
That sure is. It's
And
nice
there are various plants which I'll point out, various ornamentals that I brought from his garden. So they're planted here also.
That's
So,
wonderful.
It's just, love history, love these old tie-ins,
Sure.
to, and he's gone and his wife's gone. I have an annex garden that I'm doing that's going to be named after her.
Oh, cool.
But I'm going to use her German name. So people will look and say, what? Her name was Rosemary. But Weintraub, I can't even pronounce it. I got to look at it and spell it out and whatever. But she would get a kick out of me using that.
You know something, Don? Before we go into the garden
Yes.
and give the folks a tour, why don't you tell them a little bit about your wildness here?
Yeah.
And then let's go over your vegetable stand here and what
Okay.
you do with that.
Well, the wild area around the whole garden it's a pollinator area. It actually is twofold. It's a pollinator, but I have ornamental plants in there, woody plants, that will eventually give me a little bit of screening from our busy intersection here.
Mm-hmm.
So then the neighbors can't really see what I'm up to. so they'll have more question marks. But the idea is to bring in pollinators to increase our fruit and vegetable production. So the more native bees and stuff you have, the better off you are. Plus, there's a certain amount of flowers in there, so it's drawn in butterflies, which are lesser known pollinators, but still pollinators.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing here. Plus, it gives me when I'm weeding the outer area. If I don't feel like putting it in a bucket and disposing it, I can just toss it over the fence. so it's made things easier. And the fence, by the way, is actually buried into the ground, so we don't want any rabbits or anything else digging in there.
That's great.
So, yeah, in fact, about every morning there'll be a rabbit in this tall grass, and they see me and they run across the street.
Lusting after your garden.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't figure out how to get in.
Nope. So I don't have any rabbit problems, and
They don't climb, eh?
no, I'm sure raccoons do, but there's nothing that really speaks to a raccoon as far as edibility, like corn or some along that line. So,
Oh, yeah.
so they're not a problem either. The other thing we have here is this is a vegetable stand, a self-service vegetable stand I built last year. It's got a pay box. Right now we have various seeds we have for sale. Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds provides me with seeds that I distribute. I have them priced down $1 a pack. Anything that I earn in the stand goes back to seeds and plants for the garden.
Cool.
Now, everything that's grown in the garden, we of course eat a few things, but the majority of it is donated to a local food pantry and a county hospice kitchen, which the chefs there just love it when I come in with big old tray of vegetables because I grow a lot of things that no one else does.
I bet
so
they love it.
they're like, "Whoa, look
I
at
bet
this."
they love you.
So in season we have a scale here, so things are sold either by item or by weight. And then we have our little lockbox, and it has I came across a couple engineering challenges. Number one is I'm right in the drainage area of our whole parking lot area here. So when it rains, we get a river going through here.
No kidding.
So the whole stand sits on pallets, and the pallets, underneath the pallets, on top of the pallets, have sheet metal. All the walls were nailed to a old, thick, dense 2x6 decking.
Okay.
That was sitting out in a field for about 20 years. So it brought everything together when I built the frame, and then about 80% of the wood in this is from recycled pallets.
See what you could do with recycled pallets?
And there's house wrap, so insects don't get in there. Plus the color of paint is interesting. This is the one of the colors that they use down in the antebellum South on the old antebellum mansions, specifically in Charleston. They paint the roofs of their porches these colors. And when I was down there for a wedding, I wanted to know why are they all powder blue or this greenish
Seafoam green.
Yep. It's to prevent wasps from making nests. The wasp comes in here, and when they see all the green, to them it looks like the sky. And it's real funny because they built a nest where there's no green on the side here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got rid of it, but it was a small nest that it was bare, and it's the only place they've ever tried to build a nest.
That's interesting.
They don't do anything inside here. So that's this portion. And then my cabana shade with the wind hasn't worked out great, so I'm going to put a lattice work in there. So, but hey, how many vegetable stands have a cabana shade, right?
That's right.
Not a lot.
Mikey,
But
take a picture of heirloom vegetables, would you please?
Yeah.
Should I get my iPhone and take a still?
Yeah, take it.
I'll be right
Feel
back.
free. Oh, okay.
Take some pictures of the barn. You know what? While we're here, let's take a picture of that.
Yeah, sure.